Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome inside Pheno Field as Milford TV is once again happy to bring you coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics. We are now into the month of May, the spring sports season already now starting to get into the later stages. So a big matchup here as all of the games will get more and more important as we come closer to the end of the regular season. But today, the Milford Scarlet Hawks baseball team gets set to take on one of the top teams in the Kelly Rex division in the Mansfield Hornets. And Milford right now enters action with an overall record of 6-4. They are 5-4 within Hockomock League play, and that is good enough for sole possession of second place within the Davenport division standings. They trail only the Stoughton Black Knights, who enter into today's activity with an overall record of 7-3. So right now, Milford has positioned themselves well as, again, we get into the dog days of the spring sports schedule. Hard to believe that we're already getting into the later stages, as it feels like the season has only just begun, but the spring sports season, as usual, very compacted down, a little bit more so this year with a lot of postponed games. So a very important stretch of games faces this Scarlet Hawks team in the weeks to come. And again, coming in with that overall record of 6-4, they've been in a little bit of a win-one, lose-one pattern over their last 4 games. We've covered a couple of those games here on Milford TV. Of course, we look back to the April 24th game that broke Milford's 4-game winning streak, that 7-3 loss to North Attleboro. Since then, a 4-3 win on the road against Sharon. Then coverage that we had on Milford TV last Friday, April the 28th. It ended up being a disappointing 2-1 loss here at home to Oliver Ames, but then they were able to bounce back from that. The offense rounding into form, scoring 9 runs in a 9-5 win on the road against the Attleboro Bombardiers. So they've been doing pretty well, all things considered, on the road this season. A couple of losses here at home in the last week, but again, 6 victories overall on the season, so they need just 4 more throughout the rest of their regular season schedule to get themselves back into playoff contention. But they also want to position themselves to possibly host a home playoff game in the early rounds, but of course we still have a ways to go before we start to focus on those such things. But again, a quality performance from Milford their last time out. That last game came back on Monday of this week, May the 1st, as again we are now into the month of May, the weather getting warmer, and a nice day here at Pheno Field this afternoon. But 9 runs scored by the offense, and more importantly for Milford, getting some contributions from the lower part of the lineup. That's really been the problem for this team so far through the early part of the season. You look at the top 5 hitters in the lineup that have been there pretty much every game for the Scarlet Hawks. Ryan Gonsalves, a .371 batting average. Anthony Arcudi enters today at .324. Alex Cody at .375. Zach Tamani at even .300. And Aiden Wild leading the pack at .478. So 1 through 5, this batting order has given very good production. It's been those spots 6 through 9 that have been the question mark. And at least in the game against Attleboro, some of those lower spots in the lineup producing in big situations. Alex Masick with 2 hits in the game. Also Kevin Cambrola with a couple of hits. He also had a nice relief performance as well. I should say Luke Allegrezza with the 2 hits in the lineup, with Kevin Cambrola coming out with a solid effort in relief to actually earn the victory in that game as Milford came back to beat the Bombardiers. So they got some good contributions from other spots around the roster in general. They'll need to continue to have that more and more as this season goes on. Mansfield, meanwhile, as you would expect, right in the thick of it for a division title in the Kelly Rex division. Mansfield actually missed out on the playoffs last year, a very rare sight for any Mansfield team, but they came up just a game short of a playoff spot last year. That's just 2 years after becoming a finalist in Division I South. So a bit of a rebuilding year for Mansfield last season. They were also without the services of one of their best pitchers last season, down to Tommy John surgery. But back at full strength for this season and right back in the thick of things in the Kelly Rex. Again, a 7-4 overall record for Mansfield. They've actually dropped into a 3-way tie for second place within the Kelly Rex standings, along with Mansfield and Taunton. It's a very jam-packed crowd of teams in that Kelly Rex division. Oliver Ames right now all alone in first place after they've gone on a hot streak recently. Then again, Franklin, Mansfield, and Taunton in that order tied for second place within the Kelly Rex standings. So Mansfield doing well, but a lot of teams to battle against in a very talented Kelly Rex division. But again, this team is a good mix of returning veterans and younger players, and so it should be a very tough matchup for Milford this afternoon. And already now the infield-outfield drills coming towards a conclusion. So we'll move along as we get set to bring you this coverage here today. And we also want to welcome everyone who is tuning into us via the live stream app. This is our first stint covering one of these games via our live stream app. So whether you're tuning into us live or you're checking us out on the Milford TV educational channel or on YouTube, we welcome you into the coverage. And now let's bring you the starting lineups for this afternoon's game. Starting with the Mansfield Hornets, leading it off is their captain and shortstop Max Bowen. Matt Farragher, the second baseman, bats second, with Aiden Cahill, the first baseman, batting third. Colin Gibbons is the designated hitter, batting cleanup, with captain Zach Peterson playing left field and batting fifth. Kyle Morin is your third baseman, batting sixth, with Cullen Anastasia, the catcher, batting seventh. The starting pitcher, Kevin Dow, bats eighth, with the right fielder, Anthony DiGirolamo, batting ninth and playing right field. And for the Milford Scarlet Hawks, the lineup looks like this. Ryan Gonsalves plays center field and bats leadoff, with Anthony Arcudi playing second and batting second. Aiden Wild hits third and is your starting catcher today. More on that in a little bit. Zach Tamani is your cleanup hitter playing shortstop, with Alex Cody in as the DH batting fifth. Alex Masick plays first base and bats sixth, with Luke Allegrezza getting the start at third base today, batting seventh. Kevin Cambrola plays left field and bats eighth, and in the ninth spot is the right fielder, Tony Mobilia. And your pitching matchup in this one, Nate Irwin toes the rubber for the Scarlet Hawks. It's our first opportunity to see Nate in a starting role this season. He's done the bulk of his action on the road through the early part of the 2017 season, and he will be opposed by Kevin Dow. Already mentioned Dow in the lineup, batting eighth, also getting the start on the mound. And so a good pitching matchup and a good matchup in general as the Kelly Rex Division Mansfield Hornets get set to take on the Milford Scarlet Hawks. We will pause very briefly, and we will have the first pitch in this game for you when we come back next here on Milford TV. And right back inside Pheno Field as we get set to begin this coverage between the Milford Scarlet Hawks and the Mansfield Hornets. As you can see, the Scarlet Hawks already have taken the field. And right now their starting pitcher, Nate Irwin, concluding his warm-up tosses. It has been a very good season for Nate so far out of this starting rotation. Taking a look at his overall pitching stats so far on the year, the senior, this will now be his fourth appearance on the mound of the season. It will be his third start. He comes in with a 2-0 record. So far in 12 1/3 innings pitched, Nate has allowed a total of 12 hits, just 3 walks to 8 strikeouts. He's allowed 6 runs, but only 3 of them have been earned, and comes in with one of the lowest ERAs on the pitching staff, 1.70. He has 1 complete game to his credit so far on the year. So again, Nate really making some solid improvements and serving as what has been a solid 1-2-3 punch for Milford starting pitchers. As you take a look at the ERAs for the 3 primary starters for the Hawks, of course we mentioned 1.70 for Irwin, Alex Masick at 1.73, and Aiden Wild at 2.67. So getting quality starts more often than not so far this season, and that has been one of their big recipes for success. And it's gotten them to the point where they're at right now. It's 6-4, and right in the thick of it for a potential Davenport Division title as they start to head into the second half of their schedule now with 10 games played. So this is really exactly the halfway point in the schedule. 10 games down, 10 games to go, including this one this afternoon. And so again, the games will continue to take on increased importance. The first of a couple of tough Kelly Rex opponents back-to-back here tonight, or here this afternoon, I should say. As the first Mansfield batter steps into the box, Max Bowen, one of the captains, about to see the first pitch from Irwin. Here it comes, and it's bounced foul wide of third base. And this Hockomock League crossover matchup is underway. Tim Coet here on the call, bringing you our continuing coverage of Milford Athletics for the 2016-17 school year. Here's an 0-1 pitch from Irwin, and it floats up over the head of Bowen, evening the count at 1-1. Max Bowen, a heart and soul player within this Mansfield offense. Sends a line drive back up the middle, and that's through for a base hit. So quickly Bowen makes his presence felt, getting things started with a leadoff single. We touched on it briefly in the open, but you can see a couple of shifting positions within the defensive alignment for Milford coming into the game here today. We'll get to that more after this pitch. The first one in to Matt Farragher is Down low for ball 1. Aiden Wild getting his first start behind the plate during his high school career. A long hesitation here for Irwin, now fires to the plate. And he falls behind, 2 balls and no strikes. Wild is a catcher by nature. That is his primary position, or it was coming into high school. But Coach Pellegrini valuing his versatility defensively, putting him out in the field defensively, as that ball meanwhile gets under the glove of the third baseman Luke Allegrezza, who also has a new position in this game today. Could not make that play. It goes as a single, and immediately now trouble brewing as Mansfield has seen their first 2 batters reach on base hits. And that brings up Aiden Cahill, who is one of the hottest hitters in the Hockomock League over the last week. And he takes a pitch high for ball 1. Cahill was moved into the number 3 spot last week by his head coach, and immediately it proved to be a quality decision, as here he skies a pitch out into left field. Cambrola almost coming in on that ball too much. He was able to make the catch. And so Cahill is retired here for the first out in the top of the first inning. So big out for Nate Irwin. Still has runners at first and second base, as now the designated hitter Colin Gibbons steps in. And the first pitch of the at-bat is low, so right now Irwin has started off behind every batter he's faced. Runners leading off of first and second base, and another hesitation, and now timeout is called. The right-handed batter steps out, now digs back in tight on the right side batter's box. And Irwin's pitch, that's in for a strike. Defensively for Milford, again, Aiden Wild behind the plate. Luke Allegrezza at third, Zach Tamani at short, Anthony Arcudi at second, and Alex Masick at first. As this one is hit towards third, it's bobbled by Allegrezza. He has just 1 play at first. He's able to get the throw there. Allegrezza trying to get comfortable over at the hot corner. I think maybe he would have had an outside chance at a double play, but once he bobbled that one, it took it off the table. Instead, he gets the sure out at first, so now 2 in scoring position with 2 outs. And the first pitch into Zach Peterson misses, and again Irwin starts off behind. So that last play goes as a 5-3 ground out that does move both runners along, as now this ball is floated out into center for a base hit. 1 run in, they will wave Farragher to the plate, as well as the throw is cut off behind the pitcher's mound by Alex Masick, and it'll go as a 2-run single for the captain, Zach Peterson. And that allows Mansfield to take a quick 2-0 lead. No hesitation from either runner with 2 outs in the inning. And just a soft, sinking line drive off the bat of Peterson is good to put 2 runs on the board for the visitors. And now Kyle Morin, the third baseman, at the plate. Takes a look at a strike. Morin, the 6th Mansfield batter to come to the plate in the first against Irwin. The runner takes off as the pitch is inside, and no throw from Aiden Wild. It's a stolen base for Peterson. Wild with his first runner taking off, as the catcher could not get a throw away. Meanwhile, Irwin just trying to bring an end to this first inning. Here's his pitch, and it's hit on the ground again towards Allegrezza. Another bobble, it ends up behind him, and he has no play. So that will go as an E5. On the play, Peterson taking third base. So Coach Pellegrini again making some defensive shifts for this game this afternoon, and you can see a lack of comfort over there at third base early on for Allegrezza, as now this ball is popped up off the bat of Cullen Anastasia on the infield. Tamani calls for it, and he is there to make the catch for the out that ends the inning. But Mansfield sends 7 batters to the plate against Irwin in the first inning. They score 2 times off the bat of Zach Peterson's 2-out RBI single. And Mansfield is able to take an early 2-0 lead. The Scarlet Hawks will take their first swings of the game when we come back next here on Milford TV. Milford facing an early deficit as they come to the plate in the bottom of the first inning, trailing 2-0, as Kevin Dow, the lefty, will get things started for Mansfield. And Ryan Gonsalves, who once again sits atop this batting order, fouls the first pitch away for strike 1. Kevin Dow coming into this afternoon's matchup with a record of 2-0. He's thrown 10 innings so far on the season, has 5 strikeouts, 6 walks, and a 2.80 ERA. As this ball is popped up on the infield by Gonsalves, the second baseman Farragher makes the catch. Gonsalves quickly retired. Defensively for Mansfield, it is Cullen Anastasia behind the plate, Kyle Morin at third, Max Bowen at short, Matt Farragher at second, and Aiden Cahill at first. Left to right in the outfield, Zach Peterson, Connor Driscoll flexed out of the lineup, and Anthony DiGirolamo, as now Anthony Arcudi sends a foul behind first base, makes it over into the stands. The 0-1 pitch is a wave and a miss. Good late life on the pitch from Dow. As we mentioned off the top, Anthony Arcudi, a .324 batting average through his first 10 games played. The 0-2 pitch, he fights it off foul. Arcudi with 11 hits and 34 at-bats. He has a pair of doubles, a triple, has 6 runs batted in. Also 6 stolen bases, using his speed to his advantage, as most of these Milford batters have. A 1-ball, 2-strike count now with 1 out and the base is empty. The pitch is swung on and missed. Arcudi going after a high fastball. The first strikeout for Dow. And that leaves the inning up to Aiden Wild. Wild swings at the first pitch and bounces it back up the middle. A diving play for Bowen at short, but that ball scoots out into center field for a 2-out single. Seen that a few times now in recent games. Aiden Wild really aggressively swinging early in counts. He hasn't been getting a lot of pitches to hit. A lot of opposing pitchers working around him in this Milford lineup. So he's taking it upon himself. If he gets that first pitch fastball, he's going to take a swing at it. That time he's able to get the 2-out single. Gives Tamani a chance to bat in the first. Takes a pitch inside. Zach Tamani with an even .300 batting average entering play this afternoon. Wild a lead off of first as that pitch comes up and in. A little bit of a cooler day at Pheno this afternoon than what we've experienced recently. Steady breeze blowing from right to left. Here's the pitch, And that's in for a strike. Wild once again stepping out to a lead at first, 2 outs in the bottom of the first inning. The next pitch is up and in for ball 4. So Tamani able to work the walk, and all of a sudden now Milford with 2 runners aboard with 2 down. And Alex Cody waiting to take his first at bat of the afternoon. Cody at .375, the batting average. His next hit will be his 10th. He has a double. He's also the only member of the Scarlet Hawks batting order with a home run to his credit. It was an inside the Parker that came a couple of weeks ago against Franklin. Big leads at first and second as this pitch is in on the outside edge for a called strike. Dow surveys the runners. Now comes home as this ball is sliced foul up over the backstop. And Kevin Dow now 1 strike away from getting out of the inning. A long look in for Dow to his battery mate Cullen Anastasia, and now he'll step off. Milford with the tying runs on base. Trying to respond to the 2-run top of the first for Mansfield. Now the pitch, and this is hit out to left field, sinking fast. That'll drop in front of Peterson for a hit. Wild hits third base, now comes to the plate. There will not be a throw. As the relay in was cut off over at third base, it is a 2-out RBI single for Alex Cody. And it cuts the Mansfield lead in half. It's now 2-1. So all of this developing for Milford with 2 outs. After Gonsalves and Arcudi were retired, Wild and Tamani reaching. And Cody driving in the first Milford run of the game as Masick swings at the first pitch and hits it on a big bounce to shortstop, where Bowen's able to get the force out at second base to end the inning. So Milford sees the rally end right there, but they are able to get a single run in the frame. So each side with some offense in the first inning after 1 full inning of play. It is Mansfield 2 and Milford 1 as we bring you coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics here on Milford TV. Nate Irwin back out on the mound, set to face batters 8, 9, and 1 in the top of the second inning. And the first batter, Kevin Dow, takes the first pitch outside for a ball. And now a swing and a miss. Pitcher against pitcher to lead off the second inning. Dow getting into some trouble with 2 outs in the bottom of the first. Surrendered just the 1 run as it turned out. Here he hits one on the ground to second base. Arcudi flips to Masick for the first out of the second, so a better start to this inning as Irwin is able to get the leadoff man. That brings up the number 9 hitter, Anthony DiGirolamo. And again, a first pitch ball out of Irwin. That has been consistent now through these first 2 innings. Now a hard bouncer. That is a fair ball past third base. Out into foul territory and left. It'll be extra bases for the number 9 hitter, DiGirolamo, as he winds up at second base with a 1-out double. So another Mansfield runner in scoring position as they turn the lineup over, second time through, with Max Bowen batting 1 for 1. He hits it on the ground towards shortstop. A bit of a bobble for Zach Tamani, and now he'll have to keep it in the glove. It has been a shaky start to this game for the left side of the Milford infield. That's now an error apiece for third baseman Luke Allegrezza and now shortstop Zach Tamani. So now with runners at first and second base, this ball floated out to shallow right center field. It's going to land for a hit, and this will load the bases. Gonzalez and Mobilia both in the area, but neither could make the catch. And Mansfield now threatening to break the game open. The bases loaded. Only one out, and now their hottest hitter at the plate. Aiden Cahill taking a look at ball one. The windup and the pitch from Irwin, and this one fouled away, out of play. Cahill had a 2-run home run as part of his superb week last week in the Hockomock League. He now drives this ball out to right field. A long run over for Mobilia. Instead, it's Gonzalez who makes the catch, stepping in front. Tagging at third base and coming home is DiGirolamo. So credit Cahill here with a sacrifice fly. He'll get the RBI as Mansfield will take a 3-1 lead. Bowen holding up at second base, Farragher at first. Now both runners take off. Here's the throw to third, and it gets past the glove of Allegrezza, but not far enough for Bowen to try to come to the plate. The throw was a decent one from Aiden Wild, but Allegrezza losing his balance as he went to cover the third base bag, and the ball got past his glove. It'll end up going as a double steal for Bowen and Farragher. As now this one is dribbled through the right side of the infield for a hit, and this will be 2 more runs for the Hornets as Bowen and Farragher both come around to score on a 2-out, 2-run single for Colin Gibbons, and that puts it up to a 5-1 Hornets lead. And so Nate Irwin, who had been pitching so well through the early stretch of the season, running into big-time problems against this tough Mansfield lineup. And he'll start off behind in the count against Zach Peterson, who also has 2 RBIs to his credit already in the game, a 2-run single in the first. Now already up for the second time, and he'll foul one to the backstop. Couple of laborious innings to start this outing for Irwin. Now facing his 7th batter here in the second after facing 7 in the first. Gibbons, the lone runner on the base as he leads off of first. The pitch from Irwin is a grounder towards second. Another bobble, this time from Arcudi. He tries to get a quick throw over to first base. It's past Masick. And Alex will pick it up just in front of the first base dugout. The runners end up at second and third. That should go as an error all the way on Anthony Arcudi. So Peterson reaches, he ends up at second base. Gibbons goes from first to third. And now Kyle Morin swings at the first pitch. He pops it up on the infield, and this one ends up in the glove of Alex Masick for the out. That mercifully ends the second inning, but right now the Scarlet Hawks defense really scuffling through these first 2 innings. Mansfield also bringing the bats early and often through these first 2 innings, and they now lead it by a score of 5-1 as we'll head to the bottom of the second inning next on Milford TV. Mansfield already with 5 runs on 6 hits through just the first 2 innings. Milford facing now a 4-run deficit as they will send batters 7, 8, and 9 to the plate. Milford with 3 errors through those first 2 innings. Luke Allegrezza responsible for one of those miscues. He leads off the second inning against Kevin Dow, who's gotten plenty of run support through the early stages. And now a swing and a miss for Allegrezza, and Luke right now looking very frustrated as he falls behind in the count against Dow. The lefty delivers, and this one is a grounder towards shortstop. Bowen has it cleanly, fires low to first base, but a good pick by Cahill. The leadoff batter gone, and now Kevin Cambrola will get his first at bat of the afternoon. Cambrola with a .214 batting average. He has 6 hits on the season, 1 of them for extra bases. And he takes a pitch on the outside edge for a called strike 1. Milford fell behind early against Attleboro back on Monday, but they were able to mount a comeback through the middle innings. Cambrola on a couple of hops sends this one to third base. Kyle Morin to Cahill. And it's 2 up and 2 down. That leaves the inning up to Tony Mobilia. Milford able to get a little damage done with 2 outs last inning, as Mobilia takes the first pitch low for ball 1. The windup and the pitch from Kevin Dow, and that's in for a strike. Milford trailed 4-2 and trailed 5-4 through the middle innings. But again, Gonsalves, Masick, and Allegrezza coming through with some key hits in the later innings of the game to allow Milford to walk away with a 9-5 comeback victory. Another pitch coming home for Dow, and it's spoiled foul. A 2-ball, 2-strike count on Mobilia with the bases empty and 2 away. The pitch misses outside. That fills up the count. Gonsalves waiting on deck. He hopes to bat in the inning. Mobilia sends this one on the ground to second base towards Farragher. He fires to first, and a trio of groundouts for Milford result in a quick 1-2-3 bottom of the second inning. We will head to the third. It is a growing deficit for Milford right now at 5-1. Mansfield leads it as we bring you coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics on Milford TV. Nate Irwin ready for the top of the third inning, where he'll face Cullen Anastasia, Kevin Dow, and Anthony DiGirolamo. The first pitch bounced foul wide of third base. Anastasia 0 for 1. He popped out on the infield to bring an end to the first inning. Mansfield sending 7 men to the plate in each of the first 2 frames. And here Anastasia pops one up foul behind the plate over the backstop and out of play. A 1-ball, 2-strike count on the Mansfield catcher. Here's the pitch. Just tapped foul wide of the third base dugout. You can see it is a breezy afternoon here at Pheno Field. The infield dirt coming up in waves towards the backstop. Still a 1-2 count. The pitch from Irwin, and this is popped up, playable on the left side as Tamani settles underneath. Zach makes the catch. So Anastasia out for the second time today on a pop-up to shortstop. One out now for Kevin Dow, who grounded out to second base to start the second inning. Now sends one in the air down the left field line towards foul ground, and Kevin Cambrola just a couple of steps still into fair territory, able to make the running catch. Cambrola getting a very good read on that ball as it sliced down the left field line. He was able to make up the ground and make a nice catch. 2 outs in the inning, and there would be nothing Irwin would like more than a quick, easy 1-2-3 inning. He faces the number 9 hitter, Anthony DiGirolamo. Starts off behind in the count. Now sends a pitch in the dirt. 2 balls and no strikes. DiGirolamo was able to reach on a double his first time up. Touched off the 3-run rally last inning. And now he is in the driver's seat. 3 balls and no strikes. Irwin stares over the glove, now into his windup, the 3-0 pitch. And it's in the dirt for ball 4, so after 2 quick outs, Irwin with a 4-pitch walk to the number 9 hitter. And it opens up the potential for more trouble here in the third, as now we'll see the 3rd at bat through 3 innings for leadoff hitter Max Bowen. Aiden Wild with a brief conversation with his starter. So now ready to begin the at-bat with Bowen, but first to check over at first base, a close play as DiGirolamo went back in standing and almost stepped past the bag. But safe on the pickoff attempt, steps back out to a lead. As now the pitch comes home and it's a called strike 1. Bowen singled and scored a run in the first inning, reached on an error, stole a base, and scored a run in the second. As we'll see another pickoff attempt at first, the ball pops out of the mid of Masick. As DiGirolamo slid back in safely. Irwin delivers a nice pitch in for a called strike 2 right at the knees. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Runner at first base. As the ball is hit on the ground to shortstop, deep in the hole, Tamani makes the play. Really no chance to get the out at first base. He threw it there anyway. Masick made sure he kept the ball in front of him. You can't fault Tamani for that play. He had to slide on the knees deep into the hole at shortstop. He kept the ball on the infield, which ended up keeping the lead runner DiGirolamo at second base. But Bowen reaching on the infield single. Yes, now Farragher will get a chance. Matt Farragher, a pair of singles, a pair of runs scored. A wave and a miss, that ball darting out of the strike zone. A lot of chatter in the field as that pitch misses. 2 balls and 1 strike is now the count. Irwin got the first 2 outs here in the 3rd inning, but is allowed now a pair of base runners on a walk and a single. As this ball is fair, it kicks off of Allegrezza into foul territory. 1 run in as DiGirolamo crosses the plate. The ball eventually recovered right at the edge of the field of play. So DiGirolamo scores. Bowen ends up at third base, and Farragher winds up at second. on what should be a single and an E5, so probably award an RBI to Farragher on the play, as now we'll get the intentional walk of Cahill, not going to try against one of the hottest hitters in the lineup. They'll intentionally walk the bases loaded to face Colin Gibbons, as Milford commits now their 4th error. It is a 6-1 score now with the bases loaded, and Gibbons takes a big cut at the first pitch he sees, fouls it away. Gibbons drove in 2 runs in the 2nd inning. And now a line drive out to right field. Mobilia has to play it on a hop. 1 run in. Now 2 runs will cross the plate for Mansfield. Another 2-run single for Colin Gibbons, who's now driven in 4 runs through the first 3 innings of the game. And Mansfield continuing to build up this lead. It is now an 8-1 score. Right now, Mansfield having their way with the Scarlet Hawks, as this is a floating line drive off the bat of Zach Peterson. It's caught at shortstop by Tamani for the out that ends the inning, but not before what looked like it could be a quick, easy inning turns into another 3-run rally for the Mansfield Hornets. 2 runs in the first, 3 runs in the second, 3 more in the third. It all totals up to an 8-1 Hornets lead as we bring you coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics on Milford TV. Milford sends the top of their order to the plate in the bottom of the 3rd inning, now facing a 7-run deficit. An 8-1 score as Mansfield has been bringing the offense early and often. Gonsalves skies a pitch out to center field. A bit of a stutter step out there for Connor Driscoll, but he was able to stay with it and make the catch for the first out of the inning. Again, Connor Driscoll out in center field for Mansfield, playing only defensively in the game. So with 1 down now, Anthony Arcudi at the plate. An off-balance swing at the first pitch of the at-bat. Arcudi struck out swinging in the first. Milford able to get a run on 2 hits in the first inning, as now Arcudi takes a look at a called strike 2. They then went 1-2-3 against Dow in the 2nd inning. And Arcudi now weakly grounds this ball to third base, but a wild throw from Kyle Morin will allow Arcudi to reach safely. So we see the first Mansfield miscue of the game, as an error will be charged to Kyle Morin at third base. Milford, meanwhile, with 4 errors. Hayden Wild again swings at the first pitch, and he lofts a single out into right field. A quick throw into second base, and Arcudi just able to get in. He had to hold up in between first and second base, as initially it was unclear if DiGirolamo would be able to make the catch out in right field, but he had to play it on a hop. Arcudi able to get safely into second. Hayden Wild now 2 for 2 meanwhile, as Tamani swings at the first pitch, pops it up towards second base, and Matt Farragher makes the catch. Runners at first and second now with 2 outs for Alex Cody. This was the exact same situation Cody faced the first time he came to the plate. Ended up coming through with an RBI single. At the time, it cut it to a 2-1 score. The deficit has grown considerably since then, now an 8-1 score. Check down to second base. Now Dow comes home as this ball is flared through the hole between short and third for a hit. They'll wave the runner to the plate as Anthony Arcudi will score from second base. Another RBI single for Alex Cody. 2 for 2 with a pair of runs batted in, and it's now an 8-2 score. Aiden Wild moving up to second base. He's now the lead runner as Masick again swings at the first pitch and hits it foul. It ricochets all the way down the third base line, but a foul ball. That might have gotten a piece of Masick's foot as he hobbles a bit back towards the plate. Masick bounced into a force play to end the first inning. Dow's pitch is fouled off the catcher and to the backstop. And Masick down in the count, 0-2. Wild at second with Cody at first. And Masick sends a ball out into center field, but Driscoll needing to take just a couple of steps to settle underneath and make the catch for the out that ends the inning. Again, Cody able to come through with a 2-out RBI, but just a single run scored in the inning for the Scarlet Hawks. They still face a sizable deficit. It's now 8-2 as we'll begin the fourth inning when we come back next on Milford TV. 8 runs on 9 hits with 1 error for Mansfield, 2 runs, 4 hits, and 4 errors for the Scarlet Hawks. Mansfield plating runs in each of the first 3 innings. They now will bring batters 6, 7, and 8 to the plate against Nate Irwin in the fourth. And first pitch swinging, Kyle Morin grounds one to shortstop. Tamani to the backhand. The long throw to first base is good. Gets there just ahead of Kyle Morin, and a nice play at shortstop for Tamani that time to get out number 1. One down now for Cullen Anastasia. He's done the same thing twice so far. That's pop out to the shortstop. He takes a pitch that bounces outside. And now a called strike as Irwin paints the outside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike, and 1 out with the bases empty. And a tapper foul. That looked like it grabbed a piece of Anastasia's bat twice. Back into the windup and the pitch now for Irwin. An off-speed pitch that is a fair ball just inside the third base bag. Now a bobble out in left field for Cambrola, and that will allow Anastasia to advance to second base. The Mansfield catcher running hard out of the box after he saw the bobble out in foul territory in left field. He kept on going, and Anastasia winds up at second base. So a single and the 5th Milford error of the day. Puts a runner in scoring position as now this ball is grounded through the right side of the infield off the bat of Kevin Dow. He collects his first hit of the game as Anastasia winds up at third base. He'll hold there. The 10th and 11th hits for Mansfield coming quickly in the fourth inning. And this Mansfield offense has been relentless. Runners at the corners now for Anthony DiGirolamo. A long hesitation here for Irwin, too long for DiGirolamo, who will step out of the box. Anthony's been productive out of this #9 spot. A double and a run scored his first time up, and he'll have another hit here as this one is sliced again down the third base line. In from third base to score is Anastasia. So the third time on base now for DiGiolamo. Now a single to go along with a double and a walk. And he'll have an RBI to his credit as well, as Mansfield now takes a 9-2 lead. So Milford chipping into the deficit, grabbing a run in the bottom of the third, and now Mansfield getting it right back. And they have runners at first and second base. As we'll go a fourth time through the Mansfield lineup. Max Bowen takes a look at a strike. Bowen getting his fourth at bat within the first 4 innings. Here's the pitch, and it's a line drive out into shallow center field. Gonsalves plays it on a hop, gets the throw back in quickly. Forces Dow to hold up at third base, while DiGiolamo winds up at second on the single for Max Bowen. And it is now bases loaded as Coach Pellegrini takes the baseball from Nate Irwin. A very tough day on the hill. Irwin just could not settle into this outing. Too tough for this Mansfield offense. So a pitching change taking place here with the bases loaded and only 1 out in the top of the fourth. A 9-2 lead for Mansfield. They'll continue to bat when we come back next on Milford TV. The new pitcher on for the Scarlet Hawks is the senior Chris Watson. He inherits a very tough situation with the bases loaded and only 1 out. After Nate Irwin went just the first 3 1/3 innings, allowing 9 runs on 13 Mansfield hits. And Watson delivers his first pitch low for ball 1. Watson's seen limited activity out of the bullpen through the first 10 games on the season. Delivers another pitch low. It bounces away from Aiden Wild as a run will cross the plate. A passed ball allows Kevin Dow to score. And that will give the Hornets an even 10 runs. As now this ball is hit on the ground foul. A nice play that time on the backhand for Allegrezza, but fielded in foul territory. DiGiolamo is now your lead runner at third base with Max Bowen at second. Both of those runners advancing on the Aiden Wild passed ball. Matt Farragher at the plate, and he fists this ball out into shallow center field. A long run for Arcudi. Does he make the catch? Yes, he does. An unbelievable catch for Anthony Arcudi as he lunged out into center field. He discarded the hat as he went full speed onto the outfield grass and makes a phenomenal catch. So on a day where Milford's defense has not been at its best, Anthony Arcudi makes one of the top defensive plays we've seen all season long. Great effort displayed out of the senior with a tough game going on through these early innings for Milford. Now 2 outs with Aiden Cahill at the plate. Runners still at second and third as Cahill taps one foul off towards the first base side. Watson allowing an inherited runner to score so far since inheriting this 4th inning, trying to end it as he sends a breaking ball that just misses. Runners lead at second and third. The pitch is another foul ball. Collected in the on-deck area by Colin Gibbons. And now a hard ground ball to first base. Masick sees it go in and out of the glove, and he'll have no play anywhere. And in the back door from third base comes Anthony DiGirolamo. An error at first base now charged to Alex Masick. It allows the 11th run for Mansfield to cross the plate. 11-2 the score. And the inning will continue now. Gibbons sends the first pitch out into shallow center field, and Gonsalves has it for the out. That ends the inning. Things continuing to get away from the Scarlet Hawks as Mansfield puts up another crooked number. They now lead it 11-2 on Milford on this coverage of Scarlet Hawks Athletics on Milford TV. A 9-run deficit now for the Scarlet Hawks as Luke Allegrezza leads off the bottom of the 4th inning, and a big waving swing and a miss against Kevin Dow. He's enjoyed all the run support he has received through the first 4 innings of this game. Allegrezza fouls the pitch away to fall behind in the count, 0-2. 11 runs on 13 hits. Mansfield has not needed any help in this game, but they have received it from Milford to the tune of 6 errors now. Milford has committed at least 1 error in every inning, as this one has been ugly all the way around. Allegrezza here, however, will drop one out into right field in front of DiGirolamo for a leadoff base hit. It's the first time in the game Milford has had the leadoff man on base. It's the 5th Scarlet Hawks hit, and puts a man aboard ahead of Kevin Cambrola. Cambrola turns to bunt, drops it down the third base line. Morin has to come in to play it. Sends the throw to first base on a bounce, as now the runner takes third, but oversliding the bag, and Allegrezza is out at third base. He took the chance on the base running play as no one covered third for Mansfield. He was able to get there ahead of the throw, but his slide took him past the third base bag, and it ends up going as a double play for Mansfield that clears the bases. So I believe that play ended up going 5-3-6 on the double play. And Mobilia now at the plate with 2 down. Milford has just not been able to catch a break all day long. Dow with another pitch into Mobilia. It misses low and outside. A deep breath for Dow as he kicks and deals. Mobilia able to lay off that pitch that just missed off the outside part of the plate. The wind continues to whip around Pheno Field. This next pitch is sent out to left field. Now backing up is Zach Peterson. He almost came in on that ball too much, but he was able to make the catch. And in the end, Dow has to face just 3 batters in the bottom of the 4th inning, helped out by a bizarre double play. And that concludes 4 innings of play now from Pheno Field, where the Mansfield Hornets hold an 11-2 lead on the Milford Scarlet Hawks, as we bring you coverage of Milford High School baseball on Milford TV. The left fielder, Zach Peterson, leads off the top half of the 5th inning for Mansfield. Chris Watson back out on the mound for the Scarlet Hawks after taking over midway through the top of the 4th, now in his first full inning of relief. Nate Irwin, who was so good his last time out, earning the victory in Milford's win against Sharon last week. Was not able to escape the fourth inning as this ball is hit deep out into center field, but Gonsalves able to track it down. Had to lunge for it in the end, straightaway center field. That ball really carried. Throughout much of this game, we've seen a strong breeze blowing from right to left, but dying down just in time for that ball to get a little extra travel. That breeze, it's been blowing through much of the game, might have knocked that ball down. But it goes as an out, and now first pitch swinging. This ball popped up in foul ground in front of the first base dugout. Masick able to make the catch. So Peterson and now Kyle Morin retired. And Watson now with an opportunity for a quick inning. Now facing the catcher, Cullen Anastasia, who's now 1 for 3. Takes an off-speed pitch up and in for ball 1. And now a called strike on the outside part of the plate. Anastasia singled with 1 out last inning, and then an error allowed him to advance to second base. And here he sends one towards the gap in left center field. Gonsalves knocks it down, but still has to track it down from behind. Anastasia ends up at second base. He'll stay there. Should go as a double all the way. Gonsalves racing into the gap, was able to get his glove on the ball to slow it up. Eventually able to get to it, but not before Anastasia ends up at second base with a 2-out double. And once again, Milford denied the chance for a 1-2-3 inning. And Kevin Dow now a chance to continue to increase his lead when he heads to the pitcher's mound for the bottom half of this inning. Takes a pitch inside. A look to second base for Watson. Now he comes to the plate. That pitch fooling Dow badly. He wasn't able to hold up on the swing. Dow 1 for 3 so far. He singled in his last at bat and scored a run. Here's the pitch, and it's sent foul. Mansfield, as we mentioned, in a tight Kelly-Rex division race. Looking for a win today to keep themselves in the running, as now this ball is sent in the air out to left center field. Gonsalves able to make the catch. Dow is retired, and for the first time in this game, Mansfield fails to score in an inning. Watson able to hold them scoreless here in the top of the 5th inning, so we'll move on to the home half of the frame. It is still Mansfield 11 and Milford 2 here on Milford TV. Gonsalves, Arcudi, and Wild, the top third of the Milford order, coming up here in the 5th. Milford trailing by 9 runs, getting their first scoreless inning in the top half of this 5th, courtesy of Chris Watson. He did allow a 2-out double, but no runs allowed. And after Mansfield scored 2 in the first, 3 in the second, 3 in the third, 3 in the fourth, finally held off the scoreboard. Gonsalves, meanwhile, batting 0 for 2 on the afternoon, a pop out to second base and a fly out to center. Facing the Mansfield starting pitcher, Kevin Dow, who's been in control. He's been able to pitch free and easy, getting so much run support right from the get-go. His next pitch is in at the knees for a strike. Gonsalves ready to see another offering. Swings away and pops it up on the right side of the infield, dropping down into the glove of the second baseman, Matt Farragher. And Gonsalves is now 0 for 3. One down now for Arcudi. Anthony reaching on an error the last time up, and eventually came around to score on an RBI single by Alex Cody. Arcudi, Wild, Tamani, and Cody, the only ones that have been able to find any level of success against the starting pitcher Kevin Dow so far in this one. Arcudi did strike out back in the first before reaching on that error with one out in the third. There's the windup and the pitch, and that's too low. Arcudi up now, Aiden Wild waiting on deck. Bouncer hit on the ground towards third base. Morin is there, but throws offline to first base. And Arcudi, for the second straight time, will reach on an E5. So Morin's had some difficulty with those throws to first base here at Pheno. He's now responsible for both of Mansfield's errors. And the Scarlet Hawks right now will take base runners any way they can get them. A man at first base with one out now for Wild, who takes the pitch outside for a ball. Aiden has a pair of singles and a run scored to his credit. Arcudi a lead at first. As the pitch comes inside, now 2 balls and no strikes. The batting average for Wild dipping under the 500 mark for the first time all season. Coming into this afternoon, the average at 478 for Wild, of course, still an outstanding mark. He's about to see a 3-ball, no-strike pitch. And he takes it for ball 4. So Dow not messing around with Wild. Walks him on 4 pitches. Moves Arcudi down to second. And now Tamani, who walked in the first inning and then popped out in the third, he looks for his first hit. Instead takes a called strike. Long set that time for Dow. Now comes to the plate, delivers up and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Tamani. Now a swing and a miss. One and 2 now on Tamani with a pair of runners on. Milford trying to mount a comeback. They've got a long way to go. Here's the pitch, and it's on the ground foul wide of first base. A hearty group of fans here at Pheno Field for this one this afternoon. As we mentioned off the top, it's been a chilly day here at Pheno Field. With that steady breeze as Tamani lifts one high in the air out to left field. Racing back is Peterson. The ball is over his head, rolling towards the fence. Arcudi will score with no problem. Wild heading to third base. He'll be held there on an RBI double for Zach Tamani. And it brings the score now to 11-3. Tamani absolutely hammering that pitch. The breeze knocking it down somewhat, but it still got up over the head of Peterson. Arcudi scoring from second. Wild ends up at third, so a pair in scoring position for Alex Cody, who's had an excellent day at the plate. A pair of singles and a pair of RBIs. Has to bend out of the way of that pitch. Wild a lead into foul ground off of third base. Tamani a big lead off of second as that pitch misses. A 3-ball, no strike count to Cody. And that pitch high. The second 4-pitch walk of the inning. And now we'll see a conference on the pitcher's mound, as this is really the first scuffles we've seen out of Kevin Dow so far this afternoon. He's pitched around two of Milford's biggest bats in the inning. 4-pitch walks to both Aiden Wild and Alex Cody. The latter has now loaded the bases with 1 out, a chance for Alex Masick to start to bring Milford back into this game. They've been back on their heels. They've shot themselves in the foot with a series of errors, but now at the deficit at 11-3. The base is loaded with 1 out for Masick, the senior captain. Now ready to see the first pitch, and he swings and misses. A big cut. Masick is 0 for 2. And now taps this ball foul down the third base line. And Masick in an 0-2 hole. Some bright sunshine now peeking through the clouds. As Masick digs back in on the right side, trying to protect the plate here, down 0-2. Here's the pitch. And it's sent foul out of play off to the right. Takes a high bounce out towards the parking lot. Masick stays alive. Another 0-2 pitch and another foul ball. This one rattles to the backstop. Masick hoping to get a pitch he can handle here. He's able to get into this one. He sends it out to center field. Connor Driscoll moves over to make the catch. Tagging at third base is Wild. He comes to the plate. Now trying to advance to third base is Tamani, and he slides in safely. So Masick gets an RBI on the sacrifice fly. Wild comes in to score, and some aggressive base running for Tamani allows him to move up to third base. Cody stayed at first, so runners at the corners now with 2 down. And now Luke Allegrezza, who is 1 for 2. And this ball hit on the ground to shortstop. The play made at second base for the force out that ends the inning. Milford ends up scoring twice in the bottom of the 5th inning. The score now Mansfield 11 and Milford 4, as we will move on to the top of the 6th inning when we come back next on Milford TV. Milford chipping away at the deficit just a bit. RBIs for Tamani and Masick in the bottom of the 5th inning, but still down by 7 as Mansfield comes to the plate in the top half of the 6th. Watson back out on the hill, and a swing and a pop-up in foul ground. Masick giving chase right in front of the first base dugout, but that ball drifts out of play. Masick going as far as he could, but that ball off the playing surface, and the at-bat will continue for the number 9 hitter, Anthony DiGirolamo, who has been productive out of the number 9 spot. 3 trips to the plate, 3 times on base, a single, a double, a walk, 3 runs scored, and an RBI. A lot of these Mansfield hitters really padding their offensive stats this afternoon. A floater well up over the head of DiGirolamo. Aiden Wild pop up out of the crouch. And now that pitch is too low. That will go for ball 4. So there's the second walk for DiGirolamo as he reaches base for the 4th time. So the leadoff man on, and now once again we'll see Max Bowen. He did not bat in the 5th inning, but now up for the 5th time as he floats a foul ball over the backstop and just over the press box as well. Through 4 plate appearances so far, Bowen has 3 hits, all of them singles. He's also reached on an error. He's scored 3 times, has a stolen base, now shows bunt and ends up taking a strike. Every member of the Mansfield lineup has reached base at least once. The only members of the lineup who have not collected hits in this game, oddly enough, the hottest hitter in the Mansfield lineup, Aiden Cahill, and also the number 6 hitter, Kyle Morin. More clouds rolling in overhead, continuing to cool things off. Another pitch from Watson, and it's popped up. Masick now in his tracks, able to make the catch just a few feet away from the first base bag. And so Bowen is retired for the first time in the game. We were hoping to have coverage of the Milford softball team yesterday in a game against Sharon. That game had to be postponed as the softball field getting flooded once again. A lot of rain earlier this week, as the Milford softball team has just had all kinds of trouble trying to get their home games in this year due to ongoing struggles with rain, a little bit of snow causing some problems earlier on in the season. And so Milford has still played just 3 home games so far on the season. Meanwhile, here at Fino, there's a runner at first base with 1 out in the top of the 6th. Matt Farragher, the second baseman, at the plate as this ball is grounded slowly to third base. Allegretza has it. Put everything he could on that off-balance throw to first base, but no chance to get the runner. That will go as an infield single for Farragher. DiGirolamo moved down to second base. He thought about advancing to third on the throw, but ended up holding at the second base bag. Runners at first and second base now with 1 out. And Aiden Cahill now with his 5th plate appearance. Cahill drove in a run with a sacrifice fly in the 2nd inning. He reached on a walk in the 3rd, reached on an error in the 4th. And now jumps ahead in the count, 2 balls and no strikes against Chris Watson. Watson came into the game with 1 out in the 4th. He has not allowed a run so far in his relief appearance. He allowed a single inherited runner to score in the 4th inning. He's allowed now 2 hits and a walk since coming into the game. And now the pitch in the dirt. A late break at second base as now Wild will send the throw down there. But DiGirolamo able to get back to the bag. A 3-ball, 1-strike count on the first baseman, Aiden Cahill. The lefty waits. Here's the pitch, and it's low, 4-ball, 4. So there's the second walk of the inning for Watson. I don't believe Milford has had any activity warming up since Watson has come into the game. He gets a few words from the junior captain, Aiden Wild, as he will now face Colin Gibbons with the bases loaded. DiGirolamo now at third base, Farragher at second, Cahill at first. And Gibbons now takes ball 1. Colin Gibbons with 4 runs batted in the game. Drove in 2 with a single in the second, drove in 2 more with a single in the third. He's 2 for 4. Watson in a jam. And his next pitch is fouled away. Two balls and a strike on the number 4 hitter and DH Colin Gibbons. A Mansfield runner at every base as this ball drops in low. A good block by Wild. And a very tricky situation coming up now for Watson. Here's his pitch, and it's up high. So that is ball 3. And now a half swing, and Gibbons sends it foul over towards the dugout on the first base side. Coach Pellegrini fires a fresh baseball back into play for his relief pitcher. Briefly got away from Watson. The runners lead. Here's the pitch, and that misses for ball 4. The third walk in the inning, and this one will bring in a run as DiGirolamo will cross the plate with the 12th Mansfield run. So now 12-4. Everyone else moves up a base. Now Farragher to third with Cahill at second, and now Gibbons at first. And now a chance for Zach Peterson with still just 1 down in the inning. And some activity now for Milford beyond our point of view, but we can see activity loosening behind the left field bleachers. As this ball is lifted in the air out to shallow left field off the bat of Peterson. Underneath it is Cambrola. He makes the catch, bluffing at third base. It was Farragher, but he holds. So Peterson out on the pop-up. 2 down now in the inning. And now Kyle Morin at the plate. Morin reached on an error in the first inning. That's been his only time on base. He popped out in the second, grounded out in the fourth, and popped up in foul ground in the fifth. Watson allowing his first run here as a direct result of 3 walks in the inning. His command really faltering. You have to wonder if Watson is coming to the end of the line here after pitching 2+ innings of relief. Back into the windup. Here's the pitch. It's a high chopper to third base. It's fielded by Allegrezza. He'll take it to the third base bag for the force play. That will end the inning. Another run comes home for Mansfield on a bases loaded walk as we head to the bottom of the 6th inning. It is now 12-4, Mansfield over Milford here on coverage of Scarlet Hawks Athletics on Milford TV. As we begin the bottom of the 6th inning, there is a new pitcher on for the Mansfield Hornets. After Kevin Dow went the first 5 innings, he is now replaced by the relief pitcher David Simmons. A good day overall for Dow. He allowed 4 runs, only 3 of them earned. He scattered 6 hits. He did walk 3 batters. He had 1 strikeout. But staked to a big lead, he was able to keep the Milford bats relatively quiet. And now turns it over to the Mansfield bullpen, as Milford will now face the righty reliever. And the first pitch fouled away off the bat of Kevin Cambrola. Cambrola grounded out to third base in the 2nd inning, and then on a bunt attempt back in the 4th ended up grounding into what turned out to be a 5-3-6 double play. The bunt going down the third base line. Kyle Morin able to get the out at first base, and then Allegretza trying to advance to third ended up sliding past the bag and was tagged out to complete the double play. The breaking ball over the head of Cambrola. You have to wonder if Mansfield might start going to the bench here in the late innings. So far, we have not seen any defensive changes. The entire infield remains the same as that ball misses high for ball 4. Cambrola will reach on a leadoff walk. You start to look ahead at the schedule for Milford. It's going to continue to be tough, as Mobilia takes a pitch high for ball 1. After this game here this afternoon, they go on the road to face a very tough Taunton team. Taunton 8-2 overall on the season. Everyone in the Kelly Rex division over 500 with the exception of Attleboro. Got a couple of 8-win teams, Taunton and Oliver Ames. So that game coming up on May 4th, and then Milford will return home to Pheno on May 8th to face the top team in the Davenport division in the Stoughton Black Knights. So this has been one of their toughest stretches of the season, as that pitch was a close one to Mobilia. He thought it was ball 4, but gets the bad news from the umpire. Now we'll see another pitch, and it's a swing and a miss. Mobilia batting with nobody out and Cambrola at first. As that pitch is in for a called strike 3. So Mobilia, 2 pitches previous, thought he had ball 4, and now ends up getting set down on a called strike 3. It's just the 2nd strikeout overall in the game. 2 strikeouts for Mansfield pitching. Milford pitchers have not struck out a batter today. So now with 1 out, we'll see Gonsalves yet again. He takes a called strike. It's been a tough day atop the lineup for Gonsalves, 0 for 3. They check over at first base on Cambrola, who's back with a slide. And they'll double up now. The pitch to the plate is high. A thick cloud cover now overhead here at Pheno. Yesterday in Milford, temperatures right around 70 degrees. It was a warm afternoon. The same cannot be said for today. We've had a hardy crew on hand for Milford TV, battling through some cold, breezy temperatures out on the field. As now this ball is hit on the ground past the glove of Morin at third base. Racing towards third is Cambrola. Here comes the throw. It's not in time. Now Gonsalves caught off the bag at first. The slide and he gets back to the bag safely there. Both umpires were over towards third base. The home plate umpire ends up making the safe call as Gonsalves was halfway between first and second, retreated to the first base bag, and just does get back in there. So a single for Gonsalves. Cambrola aggressively goes first to third. And right now the head coach for Mansfield out to argue that Gonsalves was out at first base. And there's no question the argument that head coach Joe Breen is making is that neither umpire was in a particularly good position to make that call. As again, both the home plate umpire and the infield umpire were over at third base. So Coach Breen heads back over to the first base dugout now as they'll change up the signs with the runners at the corners and Arcudi at the plate. Milford getting into the dangerous part of their lineup. And Arcudi takes the first pitch for a called strike. Coach Breen fiery over in the first base dugout despite his team's big lead, as now Arcudi just barely gets out of the way of that inside pitch. One ball and one strike. And now a wave and a miss. Arcudi's reached on errors twice today. Each time he's reached, he's scored. So now that pitch is down in the dirt. Arcudi holds up. Anastasia able to keep that ball out in front. As the count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes. The runner takes off at first base as the ball is fouled at the plate. That will force Gonsalves to retreat. Arcudi settled back in on the right side again. The runner takes off. The pitch is strike 3, and the throw down to second base is in plenty of time as Anastasia finishes off the strike him out, throw him out double play to end the inning. Coach Pellegrini out towards the third base line arguing the strike call, but to no avail. Arcudi called out on strikes, and then Ryan Gonsalves gunned down trying to steal second base, and that will quickly bring an end to the bottom of the 6th inning. On to the 7th we go. It is still 12-4, Mansfield over Milford on Milford TV. It just has not been Milford's day this afternoon. They were able to get 2 runners on in the 6th inning with only 1 out, but then a strikeout to Anthony Arcudi and the caught stealing at second base to finish off an inning-ending double play. It's the second double play of the day that Milford has hit into. And it stays a 12-4 score as the first pitch in is a called strike. A new pitcher on for Milford as Matt Shaver takes over. The righty now delivers high. 1 ball and 1 strike as we will see a pinch hitter here for Mansfield. Tim Arnold, the batter, coming up in the number 7 spot, previously held by Cullen Anastasia. And there's a called strike. And now the next one is in there for a called strike 3, so Shaver comes back and gets the pinch hitter Arnold for the first out of the inning. And there's the first strikeout for Milford pitching this afternoon. And we'll continue to see a line of pinch hitters now as we'll see Cooper Berube come to the plate. Batting in the number 8 spot, which was previously held by the starting pitcher Kevin Dow. That foul ball sent out of play. Bases are empty with one out in the top of the 7th inning. As Shaver now induces a ground ball back towards the mound, he gobbles it up himself, fires to Masick. And Berube is retired. 2 up and 2 down. And now Dan Saraceno will take his first at bat for the Hornets. So a host of changes for the Hornets with their big lead here in the 7th inning. Another called strike. Shaver hoping for the first 1-2-3 inning for Milford pitching this afternoon. This ball hit on the ground towards Arcudi at second base. He has it, throws to first, and there it is, 3 up and 3 down. A quality inning of relief for Matt Shaver. That concludes things in the top of the 7th. Milford will need some kind of rally if they hope to come back in the bottom half of the 7th inning. We'll see if they can get it done when we come back next here on Milford TV. David Simmons back to the mound for Mansfield for his 2nd inning of relief. Looks like the Hornets have gone back to their starting defensive alignment here in the bottom of the 7th inning after sending up 3 pinch hitters in the top half of the inning. Simmons will face batters 3, 4, and 5 in the Milford order. Wild, Tamani, and Cody. Wild at the plate now. We do see a pinch hitter in the on-deck area for Milford. It looks like we might see an at-bat out of Noah Montgomery here in the 7th. As Simmons uncorks a pitch high and outside. A lot of the Fino crowd has stayed here right through to the end, as Wild was out on the front foot on that swing. And now another one outside. Aiden Wild has not been retired so far today, a pair of singles and a walk. The next pitch is high for ball 4. So a perfect on-base day for Aiden Wild as he trots down to first base. And now here is Noah Montgomery batting in the place of Zach Tamani. Montgomery in on the right side, swings away at the first pitch and misses for strike 1. Tamani had been 1 for 2 with a double, a walk, and an RBI. Montgomery sends a ball deep out into left field, but room for Peterson to make the catch. And that's the first out. And we'll see another pinch hitter now as Tyler Renaud grabs a bat. He will take the place of Alex Cody. A lot of activity on the scorecard here in the late innings. Now a total of 5 pinch hitters for the two teams combined. And it looks like we may have another as Matt Swanson has started to take some practice cuts on deck. But first Renaud, he takes that pitch low. Tyler not in the starting lineup today. Batting an even 200 coming into this afternoon's activity. He has 3 hits on the season, all of them singles. He has walked 3 times and drives this pitch high in the air, but foul and into the trees behind the left field fence. Set now by Simmons, the pitch, and that's in for a called strike 3. Renault knew it. That's the second strikeout for Simmons since coming into the game. And Milford now down to their last out. As we will indeed see Matt Swanson. He takes the first pitch outside. And now a 2-ball, no-strike count. Swanson had just one at-bat on the season coming into today, looking for his first hit. He drives his pitch out to left field, a long run, now right towards the line, a diving play. Zach Peterson able to make the catch, and that is how the ball game comes to an end. Right on the foul line. Peterson was able to tumble, but he makes the catch. And that brings a conclusion to today's game here at Pheno. A very tough one for the Scarlet Hawks as they drop this one by a final score of 12-4. Mansfield able to jump out to a big lead. They continued to build throughout much of the game. Milford just could not mount a comeback. So with the win, Mansfield improves now to 8-4 overall on the season. With the loss, Milford drops to 6-5 overall. They're now 500 within league competition at 5-5. So they continue their stretch of win one, lose one as they drop this one here today. And again, a tough task facing them coming up in their next game. That will be tomorrow on the road facing the Taunton Tigers. A 4 o'clock start time on the road for the Hawks. We will have coverage tomorrow of Milford softball as we will finally get in our second game of the season for the Lady Hawks softball team as they will have a premier matchup against the King Philip Warriors. That game moved up a day because of some precipitation expected in the area. So if you're tuned into our live stream coverage right now, make sure you tune in again tomorrow as we will have softball coverage between Milford and King Philip. That is when we'll have you covered next. In the meantime, a big thank you to our crew here braving some cold temperatures for the game this afternoon. Our director, John Giacomuzzi, our camera operators Rob O'Keefe and Malcolm Zale, and I am Tim Coette. Your final score, one final time, 12-4, Mansfield over Milford. This has been a presentation of Scarlet Hawks Athletics here on Milford TV. So long, everybody.